things start to take a turn. In November of 1989, in November, my cousin called me and she said, Trish, I've got to go back to the doctor's. She pulled off her shoe and showed me she had 2 toes that were starting to turn green. The doctors ended up having to amputate 3 of her toes. And when she came home after having the procedure, she said, Trish, she said, this is going to be my last Christmas. And I thought, your last Christmas? You have bounced back so many times. What are you talking about? This is November. She said, Trish, you need to do something for me. And I thought, what? She goes, I want you to do all of my Christmas shopping. This is going to be the biggest Christmas ever. She had a boyfriend named Lyle. She was single, and she had a boyfriend named Lyle. He'd been her boyfriend for 7 years. She said, all I want to make sure you get him for Christmas is a globe. And I'm like, Joni, out of everything, he wanted a globe, and she wanted to give him the globe. So I did all of the Christmas shopping for Joan that year. And I'll never forget 2 nights before Christmas, going to her house, and her church choir, the kids came over and were caroling, singing Silent Night. And I knew it would be her last one. So as I started struggling with this, thinking, I'm really going to lose this person. This is really going to happen. And she was a Christian. I kept journaling to Bev about it. I started writing more that this was hurting me. I go back to school after Christmas, and I had a substitute teacher in government for like a whole week. And I thought, well, that's kind of strange. So I asked the substitute, I said, well, where's Dr. Kamara? And he said, well, Trish, she goes, I don't know how to tell you this, but his cancer's bad. Cancer? I never even knew he had cancer. He said, oh yes, he's been in remission for about a year, but it's not good. It's in his bones, it's in the deep tissue, it's starting to affect his organs. And I got permission to contact him and his family. I drove to Zeeland, Michigan, where he was in the hospital, met with his wife and him sitting at his bedside. She took me out of the room and she said, you know, she didn't know what she said, he doesn't have long, maybe a month. So I go back in and I'm sitting next to Dr. Kamara on his bed, and I just adored this man. And he said, Trisha, he said, I am so sorry. I said, so sorry? For what? He said, that I didn't get to take you to Africa. And well, you might bounce back. You know, he died within 3 weeks. He never came back. And friends, when he died, and I thought about this, it was like one of the things in my life, it popped. And when things pop, it hurts. Well, I continued to journal to Beth. She was like my confidant. Okay, I'm losing my cousin. Dr. Kamara passed, and they knew each other. They were colleagues. And that March, my cousin went into the hospital, and the infection, she no longer had legs. They took off both arms. The infection had spread from here to her brain. And I will not forget it. You know, the day sitting in her hospital room, she didn't want to see me anymore after that. And she said, just make sure at my funeral they play the old rugged cross. And I'm like, Joni, out of all the things to be thinking about, you're thinking about the song to play at your funeral. She said, all I want to do is live to my 50th birthday. Joni lived 3 days past her 50th birthday, and I played the old rugged cross at her funeral. Another balloon popped in my life, and I'm like, okay, God, what's going on here? You know, what's going on? So I'm journaling to Bob, journaling. And I'm starting to have some confusion. I'm starting to kind of question. I lost 2 people within a couple months of each other. And so I took on a waitressing job. I was trying to make some new friends, and had spring break. I go back to school after spring break. This is the end of March, first week of April. Never forget. Tom Malloy, my honors advisor, met me in the cafeteria, and he pulled me aside, and he said, Trish, I don't know how to tell you this. I said, what? I said, what's wrong? He said, Bev died over spring break. I said, what? He said, oh yeah, she had cancer. I said, she had cancer? I've known her for 2 years of my life. I've been journaling to this woman for 2 years about other people that I know struggling. She never told me she had cancer. And they'd already had the funeral. He said, Trish, she didn't want you to come. She didn't want a big funeral, but she wanted me to give you this. See, I kept a lot of my writings. And this was from one of my papers. And this is what Bev wrote to me on the bottom. Trisha, you have been through a heck of a lot in your young life, but you are strong and have come out amazingly well. grace of God. Now build on what you know, and remain as kind and beautiful as you are. You know, I read this and I thought, wow, this is nice. But there was a part of me, I felt betrayed. I felt so hurt that I didn't get to say goodbye. So I'm thinking, okay, 3 pop balloons, I've lost Joan, I've lost Dr. Kamara, now I've lost Bev, my confidant. And I thought, you know what? I'm still going to keep pursuing this passion to teach. I'm still going to stay working with the kids. Oh, I'd say 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks later, I get an invitation in the mail. I'm invited to a 10-year-old birthday party. I remember sitting at my dining room table thinking, Mary Kay, the little girl I was telling you about, she was going to be 10. And she was having a party on Saturday afternoon, and she wanted me to come. It was going to be an outdoor birthday party, and they were grilling out, and it was, dear Miss Trish, don't worry, be happy, come to my party. And I was supposed to waitress that night. I was supposed to go in at 6, and her party was at 3, and I thought, that's just too much of a crunch. You know, I've got to close, I'll be there late. I'll just bring her something on Monday. And so anyways, I go into my open door program Monday morning, 5:45, actually about 5:35. And I'll never forget, Michelle Millard and Pam Wisniewski met me in the gym of where I run the program, and they said, Trish, we don't know how to tell you this. Like, tell me what? And they're like, there's been an accident. I said, an accident? What kind of accident? I said, it's Mary Kay. I said, what happened? At Mary Kay's birthday party, they were shooting cans off of a fence. When the adults went to make dinner, her and her little cousins were still playing. She was shot in the back of the head by her 4-year-old brother, and she died. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, all gone, all popped. And you know, I think when balloons pop, maybe you're like me if you've ever had them pop, it's like, why would balloons pop? You know what the answer is this morning? I don't know. I don't have a clue. But you know, one thing I can tell you is that in this life, balloons will pop. They're going to pop today, they popped in the past, and they're going to pop in the future. You know, and what happens is when we come to this point where balloons pop, we're at a juncture. We're at a place where we have to make a choice. Either run away from God or run to God. You see, running away or running to. Now, what we've been talking about in this message is about the twist that Satan puts on things. You know, and right here at this juncture is where Satan will throw you the lie. And he will not throw you the lie in a big shout. He will whisper it. He will deceive you. And what he will tell you is your life will be better if you run from God. Just go. Look at all these pop balloons. Just go. It's going to be better. This is what God's all about. Go the other way. Just go. He tries to convince us that life will be better if we run away from God. You know, I'm not audacious enough to think that I can tell you exactly what it is to run from God or exactly what it is to run from God. I'm not an authority on this. But Jesus tells this amazing parable in Luke chapter 15, which shares the whole story about what it is to run away from God and what it is to run to God. And I'm just going to read this to you a moment. It is the parable of the prodigal son. And he said, a certain man had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me my share of the estate that falls to me. And he divided his wealth between them. Not many days later, the younger son gathered everything together, and he went on a journey into a distant country. And there he squandered his estate with loose living. Now, you know what I'm thinking about this? I'm thinking the very first few weeks, or Jesus doesn't give us a timeline how long this journey was and the prodigal son's run away. But I'm guessing in the beginning, he might have had a good time. He's got all this